This is Mr. McElroy, one of your Gold Bus Group leaders, and I made a mini bio out of a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about where I've traveled in my life, some of my interests, and some of the work I've done. First thing you should know is my father worked for the State Department, so we were a foreign service family, and I traveled a lot as a kid. Some of the places I traveled to included Nassau, the Bahamas, Yokohama, Japan when I was in preschool, Tokyo, Japan when I was in kindergarten. Then we went to Okinawa when it was still a U.S. territory, when I was in first grade and half of second grade. From there we came back to the United States, lived in Vienna, Virginia. This is on a side trip to Monticello. In the middle of sixth grade, I went back to Okinawa for a second time. I finished seventh grade there. Then we went to Tokyo again. Lived in Tokyo for 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. Then we came back to the United States. I finished high school at Oakton High School in Vienna, Virginia. From there, I went to the University of Virginia where I studied history and minored in foreign affairs. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after I got out. Did several jobs, managed a restaurant for several years, worked part-time at a legendary parking lot in Charlottesville, and actually even drove an ice cream truck for a month. But eventually I went and got a Master's in Business Administration from Georgetown University. That allowed me to work for a number of corporations, including a Japanese multinational, America Online, and U.S. Airways. Spent most of my time at U.S. Airways in their route strategy department. And then about 10 years ago, I had become a teacher, and I teach civics and economics at Longfellow Middle School currently. Some of my interests. Dogs. Everyone loves dogs. These are the dogs of my life. Gunny, my first love. Gus, an American Springer Spaniel. A couple of golden retrievers, Jekka, Samantha, another Gus, and my sister's dog, Thesis. Long story about that name. Gus, Sugar, Thesis, Duchess, and my father. Chester, a Maltese, and last but not least, Moxie, a Wheaten Terrier. She's kind of neurotic but lovable. She's actually OCD. Look at that. Look at those eyes. She's about to pounce. Also like turtles. Saw this turtle a couple of weeks ago on the C&O Canal, a juvenile snapping turtle. I have a lot of turtle memorabilia, collectibles. This is my stuffed turtle collection. Some of the food I like. Coffee Heath Bar Crunch, Pad Thai, coffee milk from my days in Japan, and Chipotles. Can't get enough Chipotles. Some of my sports teams over the years. The Washington Senators, the Redskins, still a big Redskin fan. When the Senators left, I became a St. Louis Cardinal fan, a big-time basketball fan. I watched the Bullets win the NBA championship in 1978 and then lose it in '79. Favorite player, Bob Dandridge. When I went to UVA, we won more basketball games than any team in the country. Didn't win the national championship, though. And there's Bryce Harper. I'm a Nationals fan nowadays. History. This is me at Little Round Top at Gettysburg when I was 16. 36 years later at the same location. That's actually the 150th anniversary of Gettysburg, last July 3rd. Also love to travel. I've traveled a lot with my kids. We've completed a series of road trips we call Zen Highways. Actually 6 trips that have carried us around the country, from Washington, D.C., all the way to California. The first trip we started in D.C., went through the Cumberland Gap into Kentucky, passed through Monticello on the way. Then our second trip was like a Lincoln-themed trip. This is actually Lincoln's birthplace. Then we completed the Lewis and Clark over 2 trips. This is when we finally made it to the Pacific. We passed through a lot of national parks along the way. This is Yellowstone. We hope to one day complete the journey and make it all the way back to D.C. So that's my story in a nutshell.